Hello students, in this video we are going to learn scapula bone. So scapula is one of the bone of pectoral girdle. As I have told you, pectoral girdle is formed by this clavicle and scapula, and the scapula is also called as shoulder blade. Now features of scapula: it is having two surfaces, costal or anterior surface and dorsal or posterior surface. So this is costal surface, which is concave in shape and rests on ribs, that's why it is called as costal surface. And in this costal surface there is a depression known as subscapular fossa. So this is subscapular fossa. In the dorsal surface there is a presence of an elevation known as spine or spinous process. Now it is having three borders: superior border, this is superior border, then medial border or vertebral border. So this is medial or vertebral border. This is lateral border, this is lateral border. So medial border is thin and lateral border is thick. In the costal surface there are three vertical ridges. So these are the longitudinal ridges. And in posterior surface there is a spine, and the spine divides the posterior surface into upper smaller surface known as supraspinous fossa. Since it is present above the spinous process, that is why it is called as supraspinous, and the below larger part is infraspinous fossa, since it is present below the spine. In superior border there is a notch known as suprascapular notch. This is the lateral view. Here you can see the lateral border, and above the lateral border is oval smooth depression known as glenoid cavity, which articulates with head of humerus. And above and below this glenoid cavity there are two elevations or tubercle. One is superior to this is supraglenoid tubercle, this one, and inferiorly infraglenoid tubercle, this one. This is the superior view of scapula, and this is posterior view. Superior view and posterior view. In the superiorly we can see a notch between spinous process, this glenoid cavity and the spine. This is known as spinoglenoid notch, this one. And through this notch the supraspinous fossa is communicated with infraspinous fossa this way. This is spinoglenoid notch. Now scapula is having three angles: superior angle, inferior angle, lateral angle or glenoid angle. So this is superior angle between superior border and medial border. This is inferior angle between medial and lateral border, and then glenoid border or glenoid angle or lateral angle. It presents a glenoid cavity or glenoid fossa. Now scapula is having three processes. One is spine or spinous process, acromion process and coracoid process. So this is spine on the dorsal surface, and the spine is having posterior thick border called as crest, and this crest is having upper and lower borders. The upper border is called as upper lip, while Lower border is called as lower lip of the crest of the scapula. And this is acromion process. It is a lateral prolongation of the spine. And this is coracoid process, which is present on the anterior surface, prolongation of the anterior surface laterally. It is a snake-like projection. Now the acromion process is having two borders, medial border, this is medial borders, and lateral border. This is lateral border, two surfaces, superior surface and inferior surface. This is superior surface, and below this is inferior surface. There is an angle between this spinous process and the acromion process. This one is called as acromial angle, which is a junction between the lower lip of spine and lateral border of acromion. Now anatomical position and side determination of scapula. The lateral angle is large and bears the glenoid cavity. So this is the anterior view, and this is the glenoid cavity. So the glenoid cavity is present laterally. Then costal surface is concave and is directed downwards, forwards, and medially. So this is costal surface. So on the basis of which we can identify the anterior side. The dorsal surface is having a spine. So this is the dorsal surface, and this is spine. So on the basis of which we can identify the posterior surface. And lateral border is thick. So this is lateral border, which is thick. So on the basis of these facts, we can hold the scapula in anatomical position, and we can determine the side. So on the basis of this is the photographs of left scapula. Now the attachments on scapula. Firstly, the muscular attachment. This is the anterior view, and this is the posterior view. In the subscapular fossa, there is the attachment or origin of subscapularis muscle. So medial 2/3 of subscapular fossa gives origin to subscapularis muscle. This one. And medial border from superior angle to inferior angle, anterior side, gives insertion to serratus anterior. So this is the attachment of serratus anterior. Tip of coracoid process gives origin to two muscles, that is the coracobrachialis and the short head of biceps brachii. So this is the origin of coracobrachialis and short head of biceps brachii. Now upper medial part of coracoid process gives insertion to pectoralis minor muscle. So this is the insertion of pectoralis minor muscle. Infraglenoid tubercle gives origin to long head of triceps. So this is the origin of long head of triceps. Infraspinous fossa gives origin to infraspinatus muscle. So medial 2/3 of infraspinous fossa gives origin to infraspinatus muscle. This one. And the medial border posterior view gives then the lower lip of crest of the spine and lateral border of acromion process gives origin to deltoid muscle. So this is the origin of deltoid muscle. Then upper lip of crest of scapula and medial border of acromion gives insertion to trapezius muscle. So this is the attachment of trapezius muscle. Now the medial border, attachment on medial border, posterior view. There are three muscles. One is levator scapulae. This is the insertion of levator scapulae from the superior angle up to the root of the spine. Then at the root of the spine there is insertion of rhomboideus minor, and below the spine there is insertion of rhomboideus major. So this is the rhomboideus major. Coming to the medial, lateral border, upper 2/3 gives origin to teres minor, which is interrupted by artery known as circumflex scapular artery. So this is circumflex scapular artery, and lower 1/3 gives origin to teres major muscle. So this is teres major muscle, and at the inferior angle there is origin of latissimus dorsi. This is the origin of latissimus dorsi. This is the superior view showing the supraspinous fossa. So medial 2/3 of supraspinous fossa gives origin to supraspinatus muscle. So this is supraspinatus muscle. This is the origin of coracobrachialis and short head of biceps brachii on the tip of coracoid process. This is the supraglenoid tubercle gives origin to long head of biceps brachii. This is the insertion of pectoralis minor muscle on the coracoid process. This is the origin of long head of inferior belly of omohyoid near the suprascapular notch. Now the capsular attachment. The glenoid cavity articulates with head of humerus and form the shoulder joint. So along the borders of the glenoid cavity there is attachment of capsule of the shoulder joint. So this is the capsule of shoulder joint. Then the acromion process articulates with clavicle and forms the coracoacromion joint. So in this acromion process there is articular facet for clavicle. So around the borders of articular facet there is attachment of capsule of coracoacromion ligament. Coracoacromion capsule. Now the ligaments. Just above the suprascapular notch there is attachment of suprascapular ligament, and on this suprascapular ligaments forms this suprascapular notch into suprascapular foramen, which gives passage to suprascapular nerves, and artery is above this or outside this foramen as shown in this photograph. So suprascapular nerves and vessels. Nerve passes in the foramen, through foramen, and artery is just above the foramen. And then there is the attachment of coracoclavicular ligament on the coracoid process. This coracoclavicular ligament is also called as rhomboid ligament. So in this photograph we can see the coracoclavicular ligaments, which is having two parts, coronoid parts and trapezoid part. This is a superior view. These are the attachment of coracoacromial ligament. Coracoacromial ligament, one is attached to coracoid process and another attachment is on acromion process. So in this photograph we can see the coracoacromial ligament. Next is coracohumeral ligament on the posterior aspect of coracoid process. This is coracohumeral ligament. In this photograph we can see this green structure is coracohumeral ligament. This is the lateral view showing the glenoid cavity, acromion process and coracoid process. So another ligament which is attached to acromion process and border of glenoid cavity. This is known as spinoglenoid ligament. This is spinoglenoid ligament. So on this spinoglenoid ligament forms this spinoglenoid notch into spinoglenoid foramen. Okay, so this is spinoglenoid ligament, and it forms the spinoglenoid notch to spinoglenoid foramen, and through which the suprascapular nerves and vessels pass. Now the ossifications. Scapula is ossified by one primary center of ossification and 7 secondary centers of ossification. So one primary center appears near the glenoid cavity at the age of 8th week of intrauterine life, and 7 centers are one for coracoid process, one for subcoracoid area, one for medial border, one for inferior angle, 2 for acromion process, and 1 for glenoid cavity. So these are the 7 centers. The center for coracoid process appears at the age of 1 year and fuses with other parts at the age of 15 years. And subcoracoid area, it appears at the age of 10th year and fuses with other parts with 16 to 18 years. And rest of all 5 secondary centers appear at the puberty and fuses with other parts between the age of 14 to 20 years. Now the applied aspect of scapula. First is winging of scapula. If there is injury to nerve to serratus anterior or paralysis of serratus interior muscle, then there will be undue prominence of medial border and inferior angle of scapula as shown in this photograph. This is winging of scapula. Now the scaphoid scapula, in which the lateral border of scapula below the level of spine is concave instead of convex. This is the normal scapula where the lateral border is convex. In case of scaphoid scapula, it becomes concave like this. Now the Sprengel syndrome, the deformity. Sprengel deformity, it is a rare congenital disorder in which the scapula is too high on one side of the body, and is affected scapula is also abnormally connected to the spine, restricting the movements of the shoulder joint. So in this photograph we can see the left shoulder, this left scapula is present at the high as compared to the higher level as compared to the right scapula. So this is Sprengel deformity. So this is all about scapula. Thank you.